guys, it's Jess and I'm back at it with another Paranormal Storytime video. This will be part 2. If you want to see part 1 to the video, then I will link that below, and I really do suggest that you watch that first because a lot of this probably won't make sense. I don't want to repeat myself too much and go into all the details again in this video of what I explained in part 1, so please check that out. So like I mentioned in the first video, I saw the spirits of a little boy and a girl, and she was around 10 or 11, he was like 7 or 8, I would say. When I was younger and I was telling my parents about it and what I was seeing, I would refer to them as brother and sister. I don't know why. Maybe they weren't, but it was just kind of annoying. I don't know. Weird. While I was seeing these spirits, my parents were worried about me. They knew how much it was stressing me out and how much I just didn't want to see them and I couldn't make sense of it, and it was freaky. So I started going to a therapist. My mom suggested that I go to one that was just down the street from us and just talk to her about my experiences and what I was seeing, and maybe she could help me deal with it better. Because if what I was seeing wasn't going to go away, then I had to learn how to just accept it and be okay with it. So I remember seeing this therapist, and I was probably like 8 or 9, and she was really nice and got me to do some exercises just to help me cope with what was going on. I remember that was around the time where I was getting like really bad anxiety and I would have panic attacks. That was getting much more and more difficult for me. I don't know if it was because I was seeing spirits or if I would have just naturally been prone to that. But that's around when it started. So she got me to make this little anxiety box where I could decorate it how I wanted to. It was just a plastic container with the lid, so I put stickers of horses all over it and stars. Every time I had a fear, I would write down the fear on a little piece of paper and put it in this kind of fear box. And as soon as I closed it, that fear was done and dealt with, and I could move on and feel safe. And she also got me to draw a picture of the little girl. And I remember when she asked me to do that, I was super freaked out because I just felt like the more that I paid attention to it, I didn't want it to get worse, the activity, and I just didn't really want to think about it too much. It scared me. But I did as I was asked, and I drew a picture of the girl just staring straight ahead, sitting at my desk. I drew her brown hair and just exactly how I saw her. I remember drawing her with like a little bit of a smile. Like, she looked pretty content sitting there. And it's crazy because I tried looking for that picture for this video and I couldn't find it. It might be at my parents' house because I know I didn't throw it away. So if I come across it, I'll just include it in another video and I'll let you guys know. So I have a clear picture of it in my mind. Not that I was some like amazing artist when I was younger, but I did love to draw. This therapist also told me you can take control and tell these spirits to move along. Just tell them they're not welcome in your space and that you're aware of them and you feel them around, but that's that, and they can go. And I was like, I'm not doing that, like freaking out. There were moments when I would feel brave, of course in the middle of the day. Like, I'm not gonna do that at night, I'm not crazy. But I would walk into like my bedroom and I would say, I'm aware that you're here, and I was like, and I see you a lot, but if you want to move on, then please feel free. Like, I was very nice about it because when my mom and this therapist were telling me, you could tell them to move along, my first thought was, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Still to this day, like, lo and behold, of course I would say that. But looking back, the fact that I did that and I would like talk to them and then like of course bolt out of the room, that was brave of me. Like, you go. So that was the first thing that I did. I was seeing a therapist, and then my mom got me to do a Reiki session as well. I don't remember much of it. All I remember is lying there the whole time and had no idea what this was or what this Reiki practitioner was doing, but she was a family friend. So my mom told me this much later on, but from what my mom said, the Reiki practitioner came up to her after the session with me, and she said, your daughter is traumatized. And my mom was like, what? Like, she comes from the most loving home. She's so safe and supported. Like, why is she feeling this way? And looking back, I think it was just because I was so terrified a lot of the time. It kind of caught up with me. If you don't know what Reiki is, it's basically energy healing. A Reiki practitioner can kind of feel your energy and move any unwanted energy or stagnant energy that just shouldn't be there. At the time, I had no idea what it was, but I've done Reiki since then, just by my own choosing, because I love stuff like that. Then my mom and my parents started realizing that I would get a lot of relief from hearing music or like being preoccupied with television. Like, I loved when my parents would stay up late watching TV because I could hear the TV from my room when I was trying to fall asleep. So I wouldn't sleep with the covers over my head with my little breathing hole facing the wall. But if they decided to go to bed before I fell asleep, then I got freaked out and it's like, okay, facing the wall. So they told me that I should put on the radio while I'm trying to fall asleep, just so that there's that constant noise and distraction. I remember I woke up at like 1 in the morning at one time. So the radio's going on and Like a Prayer by Madonna is playing. And it's like pitch black, middle of the night, and I wake up and I'm feeling terrified, feeling like something is watching me. That song, you gotta admit, it's very eerie sounding, and still to this day, like, I can't listen to it without thinking of ghosts. I just wanted to get up and turn the radio off so badly, but I was too scared. So after that night, there was no more radio falling asleep because I didn't want any creepy, eerie songs coming on and terrifying me. So I'm gonna get into the story about what made my mom a firm believer in everything that I was seeing while I was growing up. So my dad was still working nights a lot of the time, and I remember I fell asleep in my parents' bed. I woke up in the middle of the night and I look at the end of the bed and the little boy is standing there, glowing so bright. I could see his blonde hair, his plaid shirt, as per usual. And by this point I had seen him quite a bit, so I didn't feel comfortable with it. I was still like heart pounding, freaking out a little bit, but I felt more okay knowing my mom was literally right next to me. But I didn't want to wake her up and I didn't want to bother her, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be okay. And I remember just like taking the covers and creepily just putting them over me and like creating my breathing hole and having everything so that I couldn't see anything that was even standing in front of me or where the little boy was. I eventually fell asleep, the night went by, and that was that. Like a typical night for me, seeing a spirit. The next day, I get home from school and my mom says, Jess, did you see anything last night? And my aunt was there as well, sitting on the couch because they had spent the day together. And I say, timidly, because I felt so embarrassed talking about these experiences and not being validated. Like, I still felt a little crazy. And I was like, yeah, I saw a little boy at the end of your bed, actually. And she looks at me and her eyes widen and she's like, I saw him too. And she said he was bright and I saw his height. I saw every detail about him. I could tell he had blonde hair, and I even noticed like how bright his eyes were and a plaid shirt, and like exactly how you had described him to a T. Like, I saw the exact same boy. And when she had seen him, he was a little bit closer to the door and I saw him at the foot of the bed. So he just kind of moved a little bit. But I remember feeling so relieved that I was validated and that she had also seen him. And my mom, from that point on, was just such a firm believer and so just wanted to help me deal with this even more. Because this boy was just so bright and kind of like angelic looking, like, dare I say. I know it sounds crazy, but like looking back on it, I could even say he was beautiful, just amazing. And I remember the day before, I said, Mom, like, I want to draw you a picture. And she said, okay, draw whatever you want. I remember drawing it too, sitting at the kitchen table and drawing a picture of an angel, a woman, and her wings were spread out to the width of the page. And she was happy, and I just made her have like flowing brown hair, and I gave it to my mom, and she thought, huh, like, interesting, like, great picture, an angel, like, what an odd thing for you to feel like drawing. And then that night, she saw the boy by the door when she was in bed, and then the next day, her and my aunt went out for lunch, and when the waitress gave them the bill, they got little chocolates with it, and she opened it up and the chocolate was in the shape of an angel with like the wings spread out, and it was little woman angel in a chocolate form. What are the chances of that? Like, I've never seen that anywhere before. And then that same night, she's watching the show Touched by an Angel. And the picture that I drew was sitting right in front of her on the table, just like lying there. And when she was watching it, there was just this scene of an angel flying up and her wings spread out, and she had brown wavy hair. And then my mom is like looking at the television and then looks down at the picture that I had drawn, and she was like, it was like you had tried to follow that image on the screen and draw it. She said it was uncanny and just freaked her out. I know that all these sound coincidental, and it very well could be. Yeah, there was just some angel theme going on for like 2 days straight, but it just happened at the same time where she saw the little boy that night, and all of these kind of wrapped together, and I just like that, and I take comfort in it. As much as these spirits scared me, looking back on it, I know that they didn't mean any harm. Especially, you know, the little boy, I just think that he really just wanted to play with me. And of course I was like, I don't need any more friends, I'm okay, bye. But once my mom fully believed me, she and my dad went to the library, and they decided to go through the archives of the history of the land and what could have gone on. It turns out that the founder of Erin lived in the house right next door, and right next door was the original farmhouse that he had lived in. So it did take up that like plot of land that we were on. And they look at all the names of the people associated with the property and the people that had passed away. And one of them was a little boy that was 8 years old named Jesse. And as soon as they saw that, they were like, that, I 100% believe that that is the little boy that I saw and that Jess was seeing. It was kind of just validating to see that there was a little boy of 8 years old that was actually on that property at one time. I mean, they didn't see a picture of him, so we couldn't validate that he had like blonde hair and a plaid shirt, but it's very, very bizarre. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, of my experiences in that house in Erin and a little bit of what my parents experienced as well. And looking back, I'm like, it's too bad that we couldn't have all just come together and been like, you're hearing that, oh my gosh, you're seeing that, oh my gosh, and kind of validated each other. But I was just too young at the time, and I would have flipped out. My parents were like, oh yeah, I heard footsteps the other day, you're saying you see ghosts? My parents have other paranormal experiences, one that they just actually mentioned yesterday again, and I've heard that story a bunch of times. It is so creepy. That happened in another house that we lived in Orangeville before this house in Erin, so I was like so young at the time, and I didn't experience it. It's something that they did. There's other ones that I've had just in more recent years, but it just seemed to be something that has happened to me a fair bit. So if you like these paranormal stories, then please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel as well. That would mean a lot to me. And I guess I will just see you guys in the next one. Sleep well tonight. Bye.